Remember, there's some pretty important information here in the disclaimer. You might want to give the video a quick pause and read it.
Hello my friends, this is Awake Angel 2001 coming at you with the first part of a commission for Chaos Blast. It is Tails from the Saturday morning cartoon. Yes, I would argue that this is probably the cartoon where Tails was least relevant, because he only really started to come into prominence in the later half of the second season, and he was supposed to become more prominent in the third season, but, they never got the third season. But yes, we are doing the distinct version of Tails from the deep cartoon continuity. For context, here is the version of Tails that I made for myself some time ago. I have since upgraded it with the Stewie Griffin body, compared to what, the new classic Tails figure, to show the very distinct differences between the deep cartoon version of Tails and what proper video game classic Tails look like. Okay, so now that we know what we're working towards, let's actually get to making this toy, which of course is using the Stewie Griffin figure from the Loyal Subjects. Part of me wants to see if Loyal Subjects can actually just do the Saturday morning figures, because their figures seem to have the perfect body types. Like, remember, I use Ellen Ripley to make Bunny. I use Tina Belcher to make Sally. I use one of the Agretzko characters to make Antoine. So, most of my Saturday morning Sonic figures are made from Loyal Subjects figures. The only ones that weren't were, Sonic, because he had an actual Sonic body to work with. And I used a Baloo figure to make Rotor. So, yeah, I feel like this is kind of a toy line that might be interesting, especially because it's like a nostalgic older toy line, and I sincerely doubt that Jakks Pacific will ever make anything like this, because this really feels like something for collector-based toy collectors, like something that NECA, Loyal Subjects, possibly Funko would take on. So, yeah, anyway, that's irrelevant to this figure. In addition to the Stewie Griffin body, we have the 3D printed parts that are printed based off of the models made by Corey Sonic Fan, because Corey is awesome. And let's get to the thing. The torso is only lightly modified. I, of course, sculpted over the front and back of it to cover up the overall thingies, and then sculpted on the belly patch, and the body shape is just so perfect. I cannot stress how perfect the body shape is. And the tails are scavenged off of a Jazzwares Tails figure. If you're wondering, why am I using 3-inch figure parts, it's because, well, in the Saturday morning cartoon, Tails is significantly shorter compared to everyone else than he is in, the other media, where he's still shorter, but not by as much. So, if we're doing a toy line where Sonic is going to be a 4-inch tall figure, and we are respecting scale instead of just making everyone the same height, then yeah, Tails would come out to only a little over 2.5 inches tall. So, yeah, that is proper scaling. The arms and legs are pretty much the Stewie figure's arms and legs, but I cut off the pegs from the hands and feet so I could put them onto the printed parts, and that was how the body was made. The head is, well, you've seen it. Now remember, there's several distinct things that make the Saturday morning version of Tails different from proper classic Tails. Of course, you can see that he has smaller ears and less subtle bangs, but also is the double row of cheek tufts that he has. He has a row of cheek tufts on his muzzle, and he also has tufts that come out from the back of his head. I think, is this equivalent of where his hair would be? I don't know. But the point is, he has a double row of cheek tufts instead of a single row like the proper classic figure does, and that is a very distinct marker. So yeah, that is how it's different. Now I did modify I had to make a pretty big hole in the head to stick it onto the neck joint for Stewie with the actual thing in there, so it's using the real joint and not just gingerly holding on with friction. But yeah, that is Tails. Good old-fashioned Tails figure. He has the same level of articulation that that the previous ones had. There's no elbows, of course, but he does still have the ball jointed hips, the universal shoulders, wrist and ankle swivels. The tail doesn't move because I had to drill a hole in the figure's butt, and then the tails don't actually connect the same way, so that peg isn't gonna work. But it's that's kind of how this one is. Like it's not ideal because it's a custom. But yeah, I really do think this is some of my better work. I feel like when I made the figure for myself, his head was attached at a slightly wrong angle, so he always looks like he's looking slightly downwards. But this time I got the head on straight. So yeah, we got us a really good Tails figure. Perhaps someday I will do it in the more vibrant colors so it can be the Adventures of Sonic cartoon version, but, for now we're still sticking to Sonic SATAM because that was a much more popular cartoon. At least it is now. I remember back in the day the Adventures cartoon actually had the edge, but I think that's because it aired on weekday mornings before school, so more kids got to see it than the Saturday morning version, which was outcompeted by Power Rangers. Almost 30 years later, and I'm still bitter about it. Anyway, this has been Wake Angel 2001, and I am signing off. Take us out, Sonic, like you always do.
Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog! Just here to remind you that if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. And for even more amazing customs, don't forget to subscribe to Wake Angel 2001! Because between you and me, they're way past cool!